Welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into the brutal math of today's economy. If you've been feeling lately like you're running endlessly on a financial treadmill that just keeps speeding up, I want you to know you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're going to unpack exactly why a salary that used to mean absolute, undeniable financial freedom now kind of just feels like you're barely getting by. So get ready, because the numbers we're about to look at are going to completely change how you view your paycheck.
Okay, let's dive into this. $150,000. Not too long ago, hitting this exact number meant you had officially made it, right? It was the ultimate symbol of wealth, arrival, and total comfort. But today, we've got to stop looking at it as a symbol of extreme wealth. Based on the brutal math we're looking at, it's actually the startling new baseline required for a completely normal life. It's literally what it takes to simply survive a housing market and an economy that have totally disconnected from our income reality.
So making $150 grand and still feeling broke? Look, let me validate that financial stress for you right now. You aren't crazy. And honestly, you aren't necessarily terrible at managing your money. What our culture playfully calls adulting, making jokes online about how hard it is to pay the bills, is really just a clever rebranding of financial desperation. You're trying to navigate a modern economy that demands an incredibly high six-figure salary just to keep your head above water and avoid sinking back into survival mode.
Section 1. The six-figure poverty line, housing math and market reality.
There is a shockingly huge disconnect right now between high paper incomes and the brutal reality of the housing market. And the absolute poster child for this is the $500,000 starter home. Yeah, you heard that right, $500,000 for a starter home. A six-figure income used to absolutely guarantee housing affordability. But when you run the numbers on a typical $500,000 house today, the math just shatters that illusion completely. Even with an objectively good salary, trying to afford this new baseline requires stretching your monthly budget to its absolute breaking point.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. The reality here is just staggering. Only 20% of households earn enough to comfortably afford a median-priced home. Think about that for a second. That means 80%, the vast, overwhelming majority of people, are simply locked out of the traditional American dream. The whole financial system is fundamentally strained when 8 out of 10 people simply do not earn enough to buy a standard, median-priced house.
Section 2. The upper middle class trap. Paycheck to paycheck on paper wealth.
We really need to talk about a very specific demographic here. You know the Johnsons of the world, right? They've got the beautiful big house, they've got the incredibly nice cars sitting in the driveway, and man, they appear incredibly successful on paper. But behind closed doors, they're secretly living completely paycheck to paycheck. Our source material uses a brilliant phrase for this lifestyle, a financial stress simulator. When you stretch your budget to the absolute limit just to maintain a middle-class image for your friends and neighbors, you turn an objectively good salary into a high-stakes, anxiety-inducing trap. You aren't actually building wealth. You're just funding a stress machine that keeps you up at night worrying about the very next bill.
So where is all that massive income actually going? Well, it's being devoured by the ultimate wealth killers, massive mortgages, and what we call chrome monster car payments. These are the two biggest tools of wealth destruction in the modern age, for sure. They completely devour your high salary month after month, sucking up all your available cash flow before it can ever be used to build a solid long-term financial foundation.
And that brings us to a totally crucial contrast. There's a massive difference between looking wealthy and actually being financially secure. Looking wealthy is just the illusion, managing huge bank loans, flaunting a high paper income, and driving those chrome monsters around town. But true financial security, that's having actual margin in your budget. It's having personal freedom and standing on an unshakable foundation. Real wealth isn't just the ability to qualify for a massive bank loan. It's the absolute peace of mind that comes from having options.
Section 3. Fixing the financial foundation. Priority over the 401k.
Okay, to actually escape this trap, we first need to bust a massive financial myth that keeps high earners fundamentally stuck. It's the idea that you should always max out your 401k first. Everyone tells you to do this, right? Every financial article seems to push it. But blindly throwing maximum cash into a 401k in the wrong order is exactly like trying to build a beautiful, incredibly expensive house on quicksand. If the ground underneath you isn't stable, all that building is eventually going to come crashing down.
And that quicksand has a very clinical name. We call it financial cancer. This is high-interest debt that literally cracks your financial foundation while you're busy feeding fund managers with your 401k contributions. You absolutely must aggressively eliminate this high-interest debt first. If you don't, the massive interest you're paying out to the banks is destroying your wealth way, way faster than your investments can ever hope to grow it.
Section 4. The Smart Money Flow. A concrete sequence for true security.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the exact sequence you need to construct a rock-solid foundation and finally reclaim control of your paycheck. Step 1. Build that emergency fund. You need a cash buffer between you and life's inevitable surprises. Step 2. Attack that high-interest debt, that financial cancer we just diagnosed, with everything you've got. And Step 3. Secure the employer match on your 401k. Notice, we didn't say max it out yet. Just get the free money your company offers. This specific order is absolutely critical to ensuring your foundation doesn't crack. Now, you might be asking, why stop at just the match for the 401k? Well, because compared to standard 401ks, which, let's be honest, often come with higher fees and highly restricted control over your investment choices, IRAs and HSAs usually provide significantly lower fees and maximum control. You get to steer the ship instead of just passively feeding the fund managers, which means you keep way more of your own wealth working for you.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to challenge you with one final thought. Are you building real wealth, or are you just funding a financial stress simulator? It is time to stop worrying about what your income looks like on paper to the rest of the world and start focusing on true security. Ditch the chrome monsters, cure the financial cancer, and start building your life on a truly solid foundation. What step are you going to take today to reclaim your financial freedom?